Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler. I'm your host, and I'm the founder of the Order of Man podcast and movement. Welcome here. I don't know how long you've been with us. Maybe you've been listening in for over 7 years now. Maybe you've been listening for 7 days or 7 minutes or whatever. But regardless, glad that you're here. This is your Friday Field Notes. I'm going to give you something that I would have you consider chewing on. Um, I think when I started Order of Man, it started with me walking the path with you and trying to figure out this thing that we call masculinity and manliness and manhood together. I think over the past several years, it became something that I almost, in a way, was preaching to you that I had things figured out and maybe led you to believe in a way that I knew more than I did or was doing better than I am. And I'm really evaluating that in my life over the past little bit and thinking about what I want this movement to be and what it's been in the past and what it turned into, and also what it has the potential to become moving forward. And what I want to reiterate and reestablish in this movement is that I am here walking the path with you. I've had some personal things that I've been dealing with, some relational things I've been dealing with, and I'll explain some of those when the time is right. But I'm learning that I don't have everything all figured out, and I'm not as good or wonderful as I thought I was. So I've really evaluated over the past little while what I need to do to work on and what I need to improve and how I can walk shoulder to shoulder, brother to brother with you. It's amazing as I've talked with confidants and close friends and people I admire and respect in different facets of life, as I've shared the things that I've been experiencing in my life, how many things they've been experiencing, not for the better, that I had no idea about. And what I realized is that we as men don't talk about these issues. All of us are running around and we put on the smile and we put on the show and maybe we look good. Maybe we try to present ourselves through our financial acumen or success or even lack thereof. And we try to present ourselves in a certain light. And we want everybody else to believe that we have it figured out and that we're good. And what I'm realizing personally, and what I'm realizing as I talk with my friends and confidants, that nobody's good. There are so many men who are struggling with different things in their life, and none of us are willing to talk about it. So I wanted to give you a thought today, something that I've been chewing on for the past little bit. And I think it will help. I hope it will help. If you guys have additional ideas that will help me or other people who tune in and listen, then I would love to hear those things. And we have ways to communicate. The Facebook group is a great way to do that. Facebook.com/group/Order of Man. Hitting me up on Instagram. I'm not as active as I once was over there, but you can hit me up on Instagram and send me a message. I try to get back to those things. You could also consider joining the Iron Council, which is our exclusive band of brothers, where it's more structured and organized. We're holding each other accountable and trying to excel in our lives. That's going to be opening up in mid-September. So you can check that out at orderofman.com/Iron Council. But let me share with you an idea, a concept that I don't have figured out and I'm not great at. In fact, I'm horrible at it and I need to improve. And I don't even have the 7-part formula or whatever it might be to have you take notes. I'm just riffing here. But the thing that I've really, really struggled with in my life for as long as I can remember is letting go, learning to let go, is doing the work that I can do, the physical work, the mental work, the emotional, the spiritual work, doing the work that I can do and trusting that it will be okay, trusting that it will be enough, trusting that, or even just coming to terms with the fact that there's nothing more you can do about it. The world has a say, other people have a say, God has a say, and there's just not a whole lot that we can do after we've done what we can do. And as a man who prides himself on being a high achiever, somebody who wants to help and to serve other people, somebody who thinks they have a good path, it's very difficult for me just to let go of the result. I feel like I can create it and will it into existence. And in many ways I can. You know, if you're working out, for example, and some of you may notice, some of you have commented, I look a little leaner, I look a little better, maybe a little bit more vibrant, my skin, my hair, whatever. That's because I've been very active in trying to build up my physical fitness to the level that it once was. And when you do the work, you really don't have to, what I've noticed is worry too much about the results, because the results will speak for themselves. The problem is that we, as A type personalities and high achieving type men, want our results. Like, we want it to work out the way that we want it to work. It's our plan. And if it deviates from that, then we try to manipulate, we try to dominate, we try to coerce and strong arm and use the skills that we have, not for the betterment of other people, but in a way to subjugate other people, to get them to comply with us. And it doesn't work. And then it feels like we're banging our head against the wall because we're not achieving the results that we feel like we deserve or that we can will into existence. And what I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to implement in my life is that, sure, we should have goals and we should have desires and ambitions and things that we want to accomplish. And we should be thinking about our futures and planning those things. And then we should be reverse engineering into the actions that are good. Now, will they produce favorable results? More than likely, they will, but not always at the tempo, the speed, the pace, and not even always in the same direction. But those of us who want to control, I think, and this is what I'm trying to do myself, is to trust that if we're doing good things, good and righteous things, that good and righteous results will follow. Even though we may not know what they are, even though it may not be in accordance what we think we should have or what we deserve, but that if we're doing good and righteous things in our lives, that good and righteous results will follow. So what are the good and righteous things? Well, it's the things we've been talking about for 7 years. And we all do them from time to time to varying degrees. And you all know what they are. It's getting up early. It's putting the phone down. It's trying to stay off social media as best you can. Getting your body moving. Maybe it's a workout. Maybe it's going for a walk. I've been going for a walk just about every day, maybe every day, but if not, it's just about every day for the last 30 days. And it's not a long walk. It takes me 25 minutes or so. And I take the dogs out and they stretch their legs and I stretch my legs and I pray and I think about what I want to accomplish during the day. And I think about, what I haven't accomplished or what I need to be working on. And that's a great way to start the day. Another thing we can be doing is planning. Another thing we can be doing is spending time with the people that we actually care about and love and show them our love and help them feel loved. Work out. I said that. Eat right. Fuel your body correctly. Stop putting all the garbage and debris and filth and nonsense into your body because it doesn't do good things. It's not good and righteous. We know that, and yet we still partake in it. Pursuing your career aspirations, those are righteous things. As long as you're working to serve other people, reading scripture, praying to God, meditating, like we all know what they are. And I would challenge you, as I've challenged myself over the last 30 days, and I have room for improvement for sure. But I would challenge you to think about what those activities are and just jot them down. Maybe it's 5 or 6 things that you want to do on a daily basis. Jot those things down and then just make a commitment to hit those things, those 5 or 6 things every single day. Now, to go back to this concept of manipulation and domination of other people, I know that I do that in my life, and it isn't because I want to hurt people. It isn't because I don't care about those people. In fact, I care very much about those people I interact with. I just feel like I know what's best. And how arrogant is that? Not only arrogant for myself that I know what's best for my own life, which I don't, because yes, I'm 41 years old, but I still have a long way to go. But how arrogant is it for me to believe that I know what's best for other people, personally and professionally? Now, there's situations where you're in charge of that to some degree. I'm thinking about a parenting relationship, for example. As a father, you do have to think about what's best for your children and you have to make decisions on their behalf. But outside of that, I mean, I guess maybe in an employee relationship to some degree, you need to give them opportunities and let them grow and learn and develop. So I could see that. But outside of that, you don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's best for other people. I can give them advice. I can give them direction. Better yet, I can ask great questions and help them come to conclusions on their own. But what I've been realizing, and this is the point I wanted to share with you about learning to let go. I've been really examining my own life and thinking about why is it that I feel the need to manipulate and dominate other people in order to achieve this outcome. And the reality is, as much as I hate to admit it, is that it's a self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence issue. That there's so many insecurities that I have in my own life that I'm not willing to really examine those and ask myself how I can change and improve. And instead, I can look at what everybody else is doing or isn't doing and say, you need to do this. You need to do that. You need to stop doing this. You'd be better if. Here's a better plan. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting for me to attempt to, manipulate the strings of the puppet. And it's exhausting for those people. You don't like receiving unsolicited feedback. You don't like constantly being pestered and poked at and preached to. And yet I do it because of some self-esteem issues that I've had in my life. And I think based on the conversations I've had, to go back to my previous thoughts, there's a lot of us out there as men who have self-esteem issues. And we haven't come to terms with it. But I'm learning that as I examine those things, as brutally painful as it is, and it is brutal, guys, it is brutal. But as brutally painful as it is, it's really the only way to produce those good and righteous results, but also to let go of the things that we can't control, the things that are beyond our control, other people, external circumstances, what God's will and plan is. I am an ant when it comes to the way that I can or have the ability to exert myself on this world. I mean, think about the ant for a second. My son, about a month or so ago, got an ant farm, and the ants are scurrying around and they're pulling these little grains of sand, and they're so small you can barely see these grains of sand. But to the ant, they're huge. They're like half the size of the ant. It would be like us picking up a 200 or 300 pound boulder, or maybe even heavier. But from our vantage point, they're just ants, and you can barely even see that little grain of sand. Well, guys, we're the ants, right? I run around life and I think about what I'm doing, and I think I'm special, and I think I'm important, and I think I'm making my quote unquote dent in the world. And then I realize I'm an ant. I am nothing in the grand scheme of things. Now, that doesn't mean that I have no self-worth as a human, as a divine being. It just means that we're not as great and grand as we think we are. We're ants. And the reason I share that with you is because we don't have as much control as we think we do. And we need to learn to let go of. Easy for me to say, infinitely harder for me to do. I'm going through those battles in my life right now. How do I let go? I don't have the exact answer for you. I'm just trying. I'm trying to let go of what other people experience, trying to let go of what they think of me, trying to let go of wanting to exert myself, this ant going against this cosmic divine experience. And in order to do that, the only thing I can come up with right now is really to examine how I feel about myself. And it isn't always pretty. It's rough, but it's a good exercise. And although I don't know where it leads and I have no control over where it leads, I know it will lead to a good and righteous place because it's good and righteous behavior. So I'm going to continue to examine myself. I'm going to continue to examine my self-esteem issues. You can go back and listen to the podcast when I talk about bridging the integrity gap. There's a lot of information in there that I need to go back and review myself. Go back and listen. Bridging the integrity gap. I've done quite a few podcasts on that because I think that's going to help build up the self-worth and the self-confidence and help you let go of the need to control, dominate, and manipulate everything like I feel the need to. So guys, that's my message for you today. Again, I'm just giving you something to chew on. I know in the past, it's like, here's 10 steps you can do to achieve ultimate success. Podcast is going to be a little different moving forward. It's not going to be, let me tell you all the wonderful things you should be doing and how I'm doing it. It's going to be like, men, brother to brother, shoulder to shoulder, as iron sharpens iron. Let's do this together. I'm in the pit with you, trying to figure this all out. So you're going to notice some changes. I'm excited about those changes. I'm nervous about those changes. Who likes change? But I'm also going to learn to let go of the result and what you might think of me for better or worse. I hope that helps. I hope that gives you something to consider. I would challenge you again to look at those 5 or 6 things that you want to incorporate in your life on a daily basis that are good and righteous behaviors or behaviors that will lead to good and righteous results. And I would challenge you to one other thing. Last week, I talked about checking in on your brothers. I would challenge you to actually do that. If you haven't done that, do that. If there's another guy that you're associated with, brother or father, a friend, colleague, coworker, who's on your heart, who's in your mind, reach out to that guy and share your own personal struggles, because what that does is it helps you because you're sharing, but it also helps that other guy because it gives him permission to share. And he might have something burning that he needs to share. And if you give him the opportunity to do that, man, what a powerful way to serve, as we should. All right, guys, we'll be back next week for our interview. If you're just tuning in, make sure you subscribe, whether it's on YouTube or wherever you're listening to podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, whatever. And take a screenshot, share this with somebody else who needs to hear the message. And I would also suggest that you take these lessons and you riff on them with somebody else. If there's somebody in your corner and you're like, hey, I'd like to talk with you or have some sort of accountability with you, maybe these topics are the things that you guys can address. And so hopefully we can give you a little fuel for the fire. All right, guys, we'll be back next week. Until then, go out there, take action, and become the man you are meant to be.